In 1960, the brand new American Football League added a last-minute franchise in Oakland, California, naming them the Oakland Seniors. Though after days of public ridicule, they changed it to the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders won 2 Super Bowls in Oakland, then moved to Los Angeles and won another one in 1984. In 1995, they moved back to Oakland, lost a Super Bowl, then didn't win a playoff game for 17 years, and moved to Las Vegas. So what's it like being a fan of a team that's moved 3 times and sucked for 2 decades? Let's talk to one childhood LA Raiders fan and one Oakland, Vegas recent convert. I'm Dan Hopper, and this is Thrill of Defeat. Our guests today are Ed Zitron, who writes the Where's Your Ed At newsletter about the tech industry and hosts the Better Offline podcast. Both come highly recommended for me, for whatever that's worth. Ed, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Great. And also Amir Blumenfeld, a former coworker of mine at College Humor, who runs the Headgum podcast network now that has all kinds of stuff on there, including his own podcast about the NBA. Amir, thanks so much for being here too.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Amir, also, I'll just come out and say it, one of the nicest guys I've ever worked with. Sorry.
Wow, really?
Sorry,
I've never heard that before.
Sorry to ruin your bad boy persona there on the podcast early on.
I'm
Amir,
supposed to be sort of cool.
Never coming back from this.
Well, anyway.
Terrible day for the haters and the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the terrible day for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Because things are good. I stopped trying to follow modern ethics.
Yeah. Ed had some tech issues before he logged on.
Yep.
We're in a very negative headspace, which is perfect for launching into our podcast about the Raiders.
Right.
Both of you guys are Raiders fans, both live in different cities
I
now.
actually take exception with that. I don't think the Raiders have any fans anymore. I like to refer to them as like class action participants. We are all just gearing up for when we can finally take our pound of flesh from this team, when they will pay us back for the suffering.
You wouldn't say that to the black hole. That's right.
I would say that to the fucking black hole. They would feel the same way. I've been down there. Well, I was down there back in the day. It's no worse than QPR was. Fucking hell, Americans. Oh, some people got in a fight. How many generations of people being stabbed down there? Didn't think so.
Bunch of cowards.
We've had a lot of disgruntled sports fans on the podcast so far. This is the first podcast that's opened with a Rorschach monologue. So,
yeah,
from Watchmen, very exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. Being a Raiders fan might be fun this season, but let's be honest, probably not.
How are you a Raiders fan with a British accent? I'm super curious.
I lived in Oakland, and to quote Arif Hassan of the 60 Minute Drill and Wide Left, his newsletter, I was market conditions. I lived in Oakland, and the season tickets were cheap. And it turns out they were cheap for a reason. The reason was the team sucked and was moving to Las Vegas, where the tickets would then become more expensive.
So what year did you become a Raiders fan?
2017, I want to say, and I got my season tickets in 2019.
Wow.
Ooh, very, very recent Raiders fan.
Good year.
Yes.
Buy low, sell lower.
But Ed, you live in Vegas now, right?
I do. I moved to Vegas in 2020.
To follow the team.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the reason. That is the entire reason. I'm a huge Derek Carr fan. Which is why I've now moved to beautiful New Orleans now.
You left your
every time
wife and 7
wrong.
children, like back in Oakland, and your job. Just like, I gotta go to Vegas. Sorry.
All I do is call Devontae Adams and demand he goes wherever I go. It only worked once.
So, Amir, where did you grow up, and when did you first become a Raiders fan?
I grew up in LA, so I was an LA Raiders fan. 93, 94, 95, that era. Then we were pretty solid until the Super Bowl in 2002, and we haven't been great since 23-ish years. But those first 7, I mean, my God.
That reminds me of when I got into Queen's Park Rangers, my local football team.
And they were
and
great
I got into them when they were, I got into them when they were in the Premiership in the 90s, and they've not been back. I think they might have been back once. It's a fucking farce. Every team I touch turns to dust.
Do you have an NBA
Every day
team?
I am punished. Every Saturday I suffer 1,000 punishments.
Do you have a basketball team?
I don't yet.
Okay.
Still
Don't touch the
working
They're
out
all
language.
which.
lobbying for you not to join their
Oh,
fan
I
base.
I am a James Harden fan,
Okay, that
Okay,
which
tracks.
means I'm a
very
fan of
specific.
like I'll be fan. I'm not really, but I just like he seems to genuinely hate the game of basketball, and everyone seems
Hmm.
to hate him. But he's good enough that he has to be tolerated. I love him.
So I want to go back a little through the Raiders' history just a bit. You know, they started in Oakland. They were extremely successful in the 70s, won 2 Super Bowls as the Oakland Raiders. Then they moved to LA in the early 80s. They win another Super Bowl, and they kind of launched this LA coolness period, not only just of being good, but also in the early 90s. And there's a 30 for 30 about this, directed by Ice Cube. The Raiders kind of became the official team of NWA and of early like gangster rap. Like NWA is wearing Raiders hats in
Hmm.
videos and promotional material. And there kind of was this brief late 80s, early 90s cool period of the Raiders. And I feel like that's like right, maybe a little before, but right around the time Amir, you kind of got into the team. What do you remember from that era and of the Raiders kind of becoming the team, or at least the apparel team of people who didn't necessarily even care about the football team?
Yeah, growing up in LA, it seemed like there was the cool team like the Lakers, the Raiders, the Dodgers, and then like the weird other teams that I didn't ever touch or see any fans of, like the Clippers, the Rams, the Angels. So it was like pretty self-explanatory who you rooted for. And I guess the biggest divide was UCLA, USC. That one seemed to be kind of egalitarian. I saw some USC fans, some UCLA fans, but the professional sports franchises was pretty cut and dry.
Was there ever a time period where the Raiders seemed like cool and dangerous, or the way that it's sort of
Yeah,
portrayed in the documentary, or
not dangerous, but definitely cool. Like celebrities go to Raiders games. Like I don't know anyone that went to a Rams game. You never see like
Do
a rapper
celebrities go
wearing
to
a
Raiders
Rams
games? Is this
gear.
something that happened before?
it did in the
That's
90s?
that's peculiar. That's a other than Lil Jon.
Don't they? Well, I guess they didn't in Oakland as much, right? But in the
In
LA period,
Oakland, there was no joy, there was no anything there. It was just you just went there and everyone kind of showed up. It reminded me of Passover.
Passover.
Everyone just go like I dated someone who lived in New Jersey. We got to pass over. It'd just be an entire family of people didn't want to show up, were doing it because it's what they'd done every year. Fucking hated everyone. Everyone was just miserable the entire time. Everyone ate some pretty mediocre food, and then they left unhappy, promising to
Damn.
do it again for sure. So that
But
was that
Passover
was
was
the
awesome in the 90s.
yeah. Maybe
It
it
was
was.
cool. It was dangerous.
I
Yeah,
think I was
Ice
just in a
Cube
different family.
had a matzah line.
Yeah. Where does Raiders apparel rank in terms of 90s coolness apparel? So when I think of
Hmm.
like the coolest 90s gear, I immediately think of all the teal stuff, the Charlotte Hornets, Seattle Mariners, San Jose Sharks.
Right.
But
I will say this: growing up in
they're there.
England,
Yeah.
Raiders hats were cool. People did
Yeah.
wear Raiders hats. We had no idea what football was, but we thought the Raiders hat was cool, and it's a cool fucking logo.
Did
It's
you
The
absolutely a
pirate,
banger.
did you
silver
have any
black.
sense for the kind of gangster rap connection and the sort of LA South Central Raiders hat? Like was there that connection there, or just cool because it was like black and silver?
The guy with pirate hat. That was like the entire logic. But I was a child, like oh yeah, the pirate hat, cool. What do you think, pirate? Cool. I was also a child, so
Uh-huh.
But you
yeah,
weren't a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. How do you explain that?
because their logo is a P.
That's what it is. It's the letter. They have to lean
Also,
into the
try and explain
Buccaneer.
what Pittsburgh is to someone from London. They're not going to really get it. You can get the idea of a city like LA, but really, like, I don't know, like, I
I
just,
also don't
can you,
understand Pittsburgh still, so I understand that.
I
yeah,
could go off
I
mic and
lived in
explain it to you guys for
Pennsylvania
six
for a
hours if you want.
year. Yeah, Pittsburgh's still a strange thing.
It's tough to explain. I could talk about it. It's not Midwest. It's not Northeast. It's not Mid Atlantic. I don't know. It's its own thing, and
It's
I could do the
Pittsburgh,
accent, and you
baby.
guys wouldn't believe me. But this is neither here nor there. We're here to talk about your weird team that sucks, not mine, the Pirates. Other coolest thing about the Raiders, though, too, is Bo Jackson on NES, the original Tecmo Bowl. Absolutely unstoppable player, probably the best player in video game history, most overpowered player in video game history. Did you guys play that game ever?
Nope.
There's a certain generation of people grew up loving the Raiders just because you could hand the ball off to Bo Jackson and score on every play, basically, until the computer started cheaping.
Really, they prioritized just the fastest humans on Earth, which worked for a little bit, and
Al
then
Davis,
stopped working
baby.
for a little bit. Yeah,
Whoever's fastest, can he catch? No.
Doesn't quite matter, but with Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, it didn't matter. So it was cool at the time for sure.
It must be so weird remembering a good Raiders. It's like only having seen the new Star Wars movies.
Well, you became a fan 7 years ago, which is a really dark time.
Perfect.
I'm trying to even think about what like another equivalent would be like.
My favorite memory from that was watching a guy in a Michael Crabtree jersey fighting with like two old men in a Michael Crabtree and a Maurice Jones-Drew jersey, like slapping each other, just like they were just like up, and then they were talking within half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the club section as well, and no one stopped them.
They're still fighting in Vegas.
Two players I completely forgot were on the Raiders too.
No, it was like classic. It was the most Coliseum vibes you could possibly ask for.
So the Raiders, they play through.
Sorry,
how mad you are.
Just
a lot of people I talked to, a lot of people we've interviewed. Part of why I wanted to have you both on. I mean, I obviously like your writing too, Ed and Amir. But like, you're have such different perspectives on the team. Like, there's so many people who, I grew up as a child with this team, and they were good when I was a kid, and now they suck, and I'm stuck with them. But I feel like, Ed, you picked them up after they sucked, and you're stuck with them. It's like such a different backwards thing.
They ever get good, no one can say shit to me.
That's true. Right. That is true.
But that's a load-bearing if.
Yes. Also true.
It's like someone who starts smoking at age 34.
Like, I can beat this.
Yeah. So the Raiders, they kind of own LA in the early 90s. Then they kind of start getting, losing seasons, a couple 500 seasons. And there's this weird period where Al Davis, the team owner, tries to build a new stadium in Los Angeles on the Hollywood Park site. Has the deal pretty much ready to go, pulls out at the last second, and moves the team back to Oakland, where they started, not to move into a new stadium, though. And then he never got a new stadium, and they just were in the old stadium in Oakland for another 20 years. So, Amir, do you remember, what did you think when, LA first lost the Raiders, and what is your opinion of Al Davis kind of then and now?
Al Davis was like a fun, funny owner, sort of like a Jerry Jones type, maybe less problematic. But it was cool to root for the Raiders. And then when they moved back to Oakland, I'm like, all right, I'll stick around because they came from Oakland anyway. It's not like a full rebrand. It's not like a Sonics Thunder situation where I'm like, fuck that. They stole our team. I'm like, it's still the Raiders. They were from Oakland. We took them. They're going back. So I stuck around for a little bit. The colors, the logos, the branding was all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Same state. I mean, you could physically go there. Probably were some, Raiders fans that left over even when they went to LA that just resumed being Raiders fans. I feel like there's Raiders fans kind of everywhere.
A lot of Raiders fans, a lot of Dodgers, Lakers.
Mm-hmm. So
must be nice.
Yeah. So then the late 90s, early 2000s, the Raiders get good again in Oakland. But they have back-to-back two of the worst heartbreaks probably in the franchise's recent history. In 2001, they lose the infamous Tuck Rule game to Tom Brady and the Patriots, the game that kind of launched the Patriots dynasty. Amir, you're still rooting for the team at the time?
Yep, still rooting for the team. Oh, that was a really, really important game and a really, really controversial, sad ending.
Could you explain the Tuck Rule thing to me? Because I read Amy Trask's book, and there's a lot of kvetching around and they don't explain it.
Yes.
But everyone's like, man, it was wrong. And then Tom Brady's like, man, it was good. And can you say what it means?
So there's a 30 for 30 about this, too. Basically, what happened was it was the Raiders playing the Patriots in the divisional round of the playoffs to go to the AFC Championship. The Raiders are up by a field goal. The Patriots are driving as the clock's running down. Tom Brady drops back to pass. He gets hit by Charles Woodson, his former
It's also
Michigan.
like snowed like to the point where it's a full blizzard. There was like 6 inches of snow on the ground. Nobody can move the ball or really see the players. So it was like nearly impossible to score, almost impossible to kick a field goal.
Oh God.
And the game was pretty much over.
Yeah.
It was like 13-10 at the time.
Yeah, absolute like snowed in game, no conditions for offense. Charles Woodson, Brady's former teammate in Michigan, kind of strip sacks him. The Raiders get the ball. Seems like the game is over, but then they review it, and through an obscure rule, they rule that Brady's arm was going forward, which is a forward pass, and then he moves to literally tuck the ball in to like either run with it or to keep scrambling, and then he gets strip sacked. And there's a rule in the rule book that says even if you're trying to tuck it after you start passing, it counts as a fumble, or it counts as an incomplete pass, not a fumble. So it's like, when you're making a pass motion and you get hit and it drops, it's an incomplete pass. But if you're doing that and then you clearly are trying to tuck it and run with it and get hit, they rule that it's still an incomplete pass, even though you're not really passing.
Even though you're running and you have been stripped.
You started passing.
Now I get why everyone's so angry.
Yeah. So
he also didn't let go of the ball. He did a throwing motion, held onto the ball, went all the way back into his body, grabbed it into his hips, and then he got strip sacked. Yeah, he didn't pass
angry.
And it was no like the recovery was not in question. It was like clearly the Raiders got it, and then clearly knowing the ruling, if they rule I know no one likes to say like one play doesn't decide a game, but like if it was ruled a fumble, the game's over. Literally, the game's over. They kneel on the ball. So the Patriots get another chance. They call it an incomplete pass. They drive down the field, kick the game-tying field goal, and then they win the game in overtime without the Raiders getting the ball.
By the way, the field goal was insane. It was like a 34-yarder, like into a hurricane where you couldn't even tell where the ball was. And they're like, yep, it was good. I'm like, how did anybody snap, let alone hold, let alone kick through the uprights this field goal? And then the game went into overtime. More of this blizzard-like football condition. And
this was
stinks.
Yeah, it was awful. Then they beat the Steelers in the next round too. So I'm kind of sharing in the heartbreak here. But that was before the Patriots were the Patriots. They were this kind of weird upstart team whose starting quarterback got hurt. Tom Brady took over, and then they had a really good season. But that was the first Tom Brady Super Bowl run, and that was the kicker Adam Vinatieri, a Hall of Famer. That was his first like big clutch kick, and
he went on to the Colts, right?
He won the Super Bowl with the Colts too. But it kind of launched. I mean, it didn't launch the Brady dynasty, but it could have maybe stopped the Brady dynasty before it started, but didn't. So, what do you think of when you talk about the Tuck Rule game now? And do you ever do the like, what if the Raiders had won that game? Would they have won the Super Bowl? Would the Patriots have never become a dynasty? What do you think about it now, Amir?
Tom Brady would be probably homeless at this point in a weird sliding doors moment. And I'd be a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I agree.
Butterfly effect wise.
Yep.
That's why I actually don't think about that game that much anymore because they were bad for so long after.
I'm just not familiar with these concepts you're talking about. Opportunity, playoffs?
Yeah.
Is that something that happens after the season?
Well, if you're...
With the Raiders in that?
Is there a sense?
Just 25 short years ago, for sure. They were in the mix.
I don't think 2001 was 25 years ago. That doesn't seem right. Well, is it, Ed, as someone who is a more recent Raiders fan who pretty much has only rooted for them when they've been wall-to-wall terrible, I guess this is a general sports question that comes up. Like, is it more heartbreaking to, make the AFC title game, make the Super Bowl, and lose in like a horrible fashion? Or is it worse to root for this team, like you're saying, Ed, that you just don't have hope year in and year out? You almost have no expectations to be dashed, or is it just miserable?
I mentioned QPR earlier because I got to watch this childhood team of mine. I don't watch soccer anymore. I find it unwatchable. I think it's a terrible sport. I think it's boring. Whenever I hear Americans talk about it, I get upset. Now, a lot of draining that out is that QPR got progressively worse every single year of my life. Mm-hmm. And occasionally got slightly less mediocre. With that in mind, I don't think I've ever seen a season of football like the 2021. That first game when we beat Lamar Jackson, it looked like we had it. And then you just got like Henry Ruggs, real fast player, too fast it turns out. And then we got to the John Gruden racism. And then the incredible was that Damon Arnett. Did you ever see the Damon Arnett video?
I don't think so.
So Damon Arnett, someone was insulting him on Instagram. I'm going to leave out a certain word that he used.
Okay.
White guys probably shouldn't say out loud. But someone insulted him on Instagram, so he did an overlay of their DM, and he said, "I'm going to kill you," and he holds up one big illegal gun, like with like a slightly larger magazine than it should have. And he goes, "No, I'm going to kill you." And he brings up one where it's like a handgun with like a fucking Tommy gun magazine, like a barrel, like so super illegal. He was a first-round pick. He was dog shit. He was never good. So basically, one after another, all of this shit happened in 2021 where we were looking good. Derek Carr finally felt like he had an iota of swag. And then just Ruggs happened, and Ruggs had finally looked good. We looked competitive. We that Allegiant had some energy for it. We're all in there for the first time. Everyone's kind of saucy. It was weird. And then everything kind of starts tumbling out. And everyone's kind of depressed. And then Bisaccia, wasn't around long enough to remember how to pronounce his name, comes in, and everyone's like, fuck. This guy can coach this team. And we get to the playoffs, and it doesn't feel like we've got much hope, and we kind of lose in a way. No one's super bummed out about it because we're like, oh, we got a coach. This guy's cool. He's not racist. He's not sending like 1930s racist tropes to people.
He hasn't been caught being racist in an email yet.
Exactly. And everyone's like, cool. And he was like a special teams guy. And everyone's like, fuck yeah, this is going to be great. And then the Raiders are like, well, you like that disappointment we put you through. Have we got the guy for you? Josh McDaniels. And we've also got Ziegler. And what's Big J Master going to do next? He's going to run this team into the fucking ground. He's going to make you miserable. And then you're going to go through this miserable fucking 2022 season with Josh McDaniels. Stories coming out of the locker room that people just like make fun of him. No one likes him. The players look miserable every day. Then we have one fun game with Jared Stidham, where we just like so
one
pathetic.
Fun game.
That was the one fun game I can remember.
We're moving the goalposts so far.
Well, no, that game was great because I was screaming Stidham season from the moment I got there, and we nearly beat the 49ers, and other people were screaming Stidham season. It was the best moment. But I will tell you that 2-year stretch, like 2021, 2022, 2023, was just so fucking miserable.
Mm.
And the Antonio and AP comes up, and I was like, all right, maybe AP could, and he's even worse.
Yeah.
It's just, I've never seen like a stretch with a sports team like this. I talk to other people about the Raiders, and they talk to me. I've had a divorce, and they talk to me in the same way. Just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm really sorry. Yeah, it's just, things like that happen. I know it's really expensive. Are you feeling okay? Yeah. You going into therapy? Yeah, I know. No, it doesn't really make sense why they're doing that. And it's just, I still love it because they're so shit that there are no expectations anymore. And yet AP somehow was lower than them. Like, I must be clear. Even when we nearly beat the Chiefs and we lost, it's truly hilarious. Like, it's not so funny anymore. The joke is wearing a little thin, but I have never seen a sports team this bad other than the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns were never this funny bad. They're just like bad, sad, bad.
I do think that the Raiders have almost fallen out of public consciousness a little bit after, so 2003 was really their last high point. They make the Super Bowl and lose 48-21 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are coached by John Gruden, who left. The Raiders actually traded him to Tampa, and then he ended up coaching against the Raiders in the Super Bowl and demolishing them. Were you still following at the time, Amir?
Yeah, that was sort of the peak of my Raider fandom.
What do you remember about that Super Bowl?
We were never in it. It instantly got bad, and then it got worse, and then we lost. But it was a very fun season and a great playoff run, and we haven't been back there since.
Yep.
I don't think we've won a playoff game.
Oh, man. Nope. So we're jumping around a little bit. So they lose the Super Bowl in a blowout, and you never know at the time what era is coming. It's like, okay, Super Bowl team, whatever, they lost. Maybe they'll be back the next year. And I feel like after that, from 2003 season on, they've been in this kind of not just bad, but like hilarious, weird, bad malaise that Ed was just talking about.
I was going to say, I've known exactly what to expect every
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start.
I mean, I started watching football in 2007.
Uh-huh.
So not long before the legend himself, Jamarcus Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And
what made you take up the NFL in 2007?
So I was in Penn State at the time. I spent a year's exchange thing. And that was like, it was 2005, 2006. So one of the last good years before all the stuff came out. But in that year, I really, because it was like, what do you want to do on Saturday? Do you want to do literally nothing? Or do you want to go to a game you don't understand? So I had a bunch of like junior, senior oafs I'd made friends. I call them oafs. They were amazing. Who taught me football. And then they were like, hey, NFL draft's coming up. Like, well, you could watch this. We'll teach you some people. I forget what it was a Mario Williams draft was the first one I saw. 06, 07? Might be
right around
07.
then. He went to the Texans, right? Yeah.
And then Jamarcus Russell pops up, and I'm just like, who is this guy? He's going to be shit.
So far.
I knew nothing about football. I knew the rules, but I didn't really know the mise en scène. Mm-hmm. But I saw this guy, and he just had a shit-ass attitude. Every game, he looked like he was trying to throw the football out of the stadium. He was picked number one by a team that everyone had explained to me was like a failing nation, like a kind of failed state that was also a football team.
And you're like, I got to root for these guys.
Yeah, the owner looked like the Crypt Keeper and sounded worse.
True.
And then they picked this giant man who seemed pissed off in general. And then every time I checked up on him, he had like a 54% completion rating or was running like 70 yards. I was like, who is this guy? And I looked at the Raiders. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. So I went for the New York Giants instead.
That's cool.
And then I got a real taste of joy, and then never ate much more. There were two great Super Bowls, and I love those Super Bowls, by the way, because I don't know about other New York Giants fans, but I don't believe anyone who says you thought they were going to win a Super Bowl in either of those seasons. In both seasons, I remember being in New York at the time and being like, we're not winning anything. Like, yeah, the Eli Manning fucking stinks. He sucks so bad. And then we won the Super Bowls. Everyone's just like, oh, okay. Strange feeling to win a Super Bowl or even be near a Super Bowl, because every time I looked at the Raiders before I became a fan, I was like, wow, people just vomit inside now, huh?
What prompted you to switch? I mean, you just were living in Oakland?
I moved to the West Coast.
But you had the joy of the Giants. You didn't want to...
I kept watching the Giants. I still keep watching the Giants. It's just not as funny to be a Giants fan as it is to be a Raiders fan. And it's much easier to follow the Raiders because they're right here and I have season tickets. And getting to Raiders Stadium in Vegas is very easy. It's like a 20-minute with a bit of walking. Going to New Jersey for the Giants is you have to carve out your day. And you may get there, and every time you go to that stadium, either the New York Giants or the New York Jets are playing. This is not great. It's like, am I going to go to the dirt store and eat some dirt? It's a nice store, though. And it's so, yeah, I have what David Roth would call a dog food buffet whenever I see these teams. But I'm oddly affectionate for them.
It's just the idea of switching to the Raiders in like the 2010s.
Out of the toilet into the frying pan.
Yeah, it's just like, you just know so many people. They're like, oh, I just started following the NBA and I picked the Warriors, or I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, or whatever. It's just like so. I mean, I guess you live there, so it makes more sense. But it is just a very funny thing to convert to the Raiders. Yeah. Was part of you attracted to kind of the hilarity or the misery of the team? You do think
it's a cool brand, and being a fan of the Cowboys seems like being a fan of a private equity firm, and with the world's biggest screen. And you also have to go to Dallas, which is
You also don't get any of the joy of selling out. They're also bad. So why are you?
True.
You're selling your soul for nothing.
Yeah,
you get the feeling of selling out without the payoff,
the upside.
Because being a Cowboys fan feels like cheating somehow, despite them never winning anything and them losing in the doofiest ways. But also, like, because they have money and the stadium's nice and Jerry Jones exists.
But there's also kind of random Cowboys fans everywhere. Whereas I feel like, I know there's Raiders fans everywhere, but like if someone's a Raiders fan, I feel like I immediately have some interest or some follow-up question that I want to ask. Yeah.
Oh, I should tell you about something I wear to Allegiant as well.
Okay.
I have a custom Las Vegas Raiders jersey with Russell 1 on the back.
Do you have a Jamarcus Russell Vegas Raiders jersey?
Yes, exactly. And every single time I'm at the stadium, someone will stop, look at it, get angry at themselves. Because they're like, the moment they clock what it is, they're like, I was meant to look at that. And every time I'm like, yep, you've fallen into my dark carnival.
Yeah.
Welcome to my twisted mind. There was a guy behind me actually at the Stidham season game who was like, is that a Jamarcus Russell jersey? Yeah. Is that Las Vegas? I'm like, yep.
So
Get that made.
Yep. And you're from England?
The guy at from England.
He didn't talk to me further. He was like, okay.
The guy at the store is just gritting his teeth, like sewing it, just like.
I ordered it online.
God damn it, Ed! Yeah,
I didn't need a human to see me buying this cursed
I'm surprised,
jersey.
like, getting a Jamarcus Russell jersey now isn't one of those, like, banned jerseys. Like, you can't get, like, like a slur or something on the back of a jersey.
You can buy
it's, like, banned.
a signed LSU one on eBay for, like, $100, I think it is.
Well, he's great at LSU.
Well, every time I look at it, I'm like, I should get that. I'm like, I could buy anything else. I could buy any other thing.
Yeah. If it drops to 50, though, it has to go under a certain threshold of hilarity to, money to hilarity ratio.
It's up there. I've been looking like there's a Ryan Leaf jersey as well, but I didn't watch him play, so it feels like stolen valor.
Yeah. You had to have suffered. So for people not familiar, Jamarcus Russell, he was a star quarterback at LSU. The Raiders take him first overall. He plays for 3 seasons, really just parts of 3 seasons. Has a 7-18 lifetime record. Pretty terrible. Never plays again after the Raiders draft him. Right after him, too, Calvin Johnson got picked, and then Joe Thomas, the tackle, who are both perennial All-Pro Hall of Fame caliber players.
I fucking love the Raiders.
That's great.
We could have picked Justin Jefferson. He was still on the board, but we were like, no. We need the 3rd Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, man.
We need another one.
That's a very British name, Henry Ruggs III.
True.
Yeah. And he's about as good as I imagine a British NFL player would. And also in jail. And
Are there any British NFL
I guess
players?
he killed a dog violently. That is very British.
Jeez. God.
Are there any English NFL players?
I don't think so. I don't think that's a great idea. But
there was like some movement from Aussie rules football to become punters.
That makes sense. They make them bigger there.
Yeah.
They make big boys over there. And even then, they've not really transferred because I don't think anyone in the world realizes the insane conditioning of NFL players. Like, I get why, like, there is a whole new brain injury this league invented. They had to make a special one.
Yeah.
But which is why I think British guys would be so good for it. We come pre-traumatized.
They could probably kick a field goal.
I mean, I just think we can't have, a 350-pound oaf that refuses to move. Go to any pub.
There you go. Untapped source right here. I mean, let's get on this, Ed.
Yeah.
So when I think of, this 2000s Raiders period, you got Jamarcus Russell, you have the Josh McDaniels era, Art Shell, the former, the Hall of Famer for the Raiders, was their coach for 1 season, and they went 2-14. Lane Kiffin. Do you remember one of my favorite memories of all time?
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin was he was an assistant at USC.
Oh, I remember Lane fucking Kiffin.
He was an assistant at USC and then was promoted to Raiders coach really young. His most famous moment, one of my favorite all-time NFL moments. You can look up the clip of this online. He was on the verge of getting fired by Al Davis. He had kind of sparred publicly with Al Davis. And in one game, he just randomly went for a 73-yard field goal. He just had Sebastian Janikowski, who was a very good kicker, had him kick a 73-yard field goal for no reason. It was a total just fuck you to the team, the owner, 100% whatever.
The shots you don't take, and also that shot.
The ball lands like short of the end zone. It's like not even close.
Hell yeah! I was hoping it was either really close or nowhere near.
Yeah, no, it was nowhere near it. The announcer's just like I don't know what they're doing, but we'll see. And then it's just like, okay, we were correct. We don't know what they're doing. And then he got fired.
Was it 73? I feel like it was 76.
Was it 76? Every time I look it up.
50 feet longer than the longest one has ever been attempted.
It was definitely like one of those things where when you're retelling it, you de-exaggerate because you're like, no, that 76. Sounds too ridiculous.
It was like 76? Past the logo, yeah.
Oh my God.
It was like up against his end zone. But you know what? We're still talking about it, aren't we?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's art, not sport.
Anyone could be regular 7 and 9 bad. No, it takes special badness to get into the annals of history. So I think he got fired the next day. So I don't know I don't know. He was feeling it, but yeah, we're talking about it. John Gruden returned at one point for a ton of money and then got refired after emails leaked of him using racial slurs and gay slurs.
And did you watch the Hard Knocks?
Yeah,
the Hard Knocks. And it's just like, you can see how much John Gruden fucking hates every single person in that building, including himself. Antonio Brown, they put so much effort, and like, you could see how talented Antonio Brown is. And at the beginning of the show, he's quite lucid. Like, he's with his family. It's quite nice. And then something just begins to slip, and you can tell that they're videoing it, being like, we should catalog this. This is not going to end well. You can just see him getting more frantic. His eyes are darting everywhere. His family doesn't show up quite as much. Really tragic. And then you just watch John Gruden walking around with his arms full and going, yep, it's not good. It's not good. And then you see this, they have this young defensive guy who's just massively overweight and not good. And they line it up like something will change. And it's just like, no, he gets released.
Oh, God.
And if you watch the other Hard Knocks seasons, you see like, the coach for the Lions. How am I blanking on this?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, Dan Campbell. Yeah. And he's like, I love you guys. I'll die for you. John Harbaugh's like, you're so special to me. John Gruden's like, I don't remember your name, man. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. I don't care.
Might be something. I don't know.
There's
Number
this
20 something. No,
there is an insane.
Do I have your number?
Where
He's looking in his phone.
He walks up to someone who's like, you can count backwards or skipping three numbers each time, and he starts counting backwards by 3 from like 100, and he does it really fast.
What?
And I think he's doing it to Antonio Brown as well.
Yeah, it's like trying to
no, it's not
somebody.
Antonio Brown. It's another guy. And they're just like, oh, okay. He's like, I can't even do it. I'm trying to in my brain. I'm like, I can't. I'm not as smart as John Gruden. But he's doing it. He's like, yeah, check this out. It's kind of like, reminds me of the Aaron Rodgers thing he does, where he's doing like multiplication in his head in the documentary. It's like, these guys like, yeah. You ever heard of a big number? What if it was bigger or smaller? Welcome to math. I just found this out.
Does he just like memorize one kind of weird thing that you can whip out and be like, I can do this? And people are like, whoa, but it's just, you could just do the weird thing if you memorize it.
To guys that's job is football. To guys whose job is not math. So they're like, yeah.
All right. Yeah. You can do that. I never even thought of.
Cool. I need to go and run and catch a ball now. Can you tell me what to do? Like, can you tell me how we're going to win this football game? And he's like, no.
Just like after getting blown out, he's just like, guys, did I do the counting backwards from 100 thing? Everyone's like, yes, we saw it. We saw that. She's like, okay, all right. I guess we'll watch some film or something. Yeah.
Which is also going to be our ratio of wins this season.
Yeah. Yeah, going backwards from 100 is basically what they did after that Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, shit. Just
nice.
nailed the Raiders. Thank you. Yeah, so I remember that Hard Knocks too, specifically, because there's one part where Mark Davis, who is Al Davis's son and owns the team now, extremely weird looking man. He's addressing a bunch of like Raiders all-time greats and Hall of Famers and their families and stuff, and talking about how important the team is and tradition and the history. But it's on the eve of him picking up and moving the team from Oakland to Las Vegas, because Oakland will not build them a new stadium with public money. Las Vegas will bend over backwards to build them a new stadium. And it's kind of this weird, and it's kind of like severing their last remaining ties to the Oakland, LA time period and becoming.
I have a controversial view on this, though.
Okay. Yeah.
I think at that point, so I watched the whole fucking season in person, the last season there. No one wanted to be there. The people working at the Coliseum were fucking done with the team. I don't think, if they hadn't moved, I genuinely think that franchise might have like fallen into further disarray than we could even imagine, just because fans, it was a feeling that was there. And I talked to people because what the fuck else was I going to do? Watch the football game? And most people I talked to were so tired of the organization and they kind of hated the Coliseum too. It was fucking nasty. It was a nasty place. And yeah, that was the Raiders' fault. But at the same time, we needed a new start. We needed one really badly. We should have fucking knocked it down and built a new one there perhaps. But, because like the bar access was excellent, but the vibe in Allegiant is 100 times better, even though it is like 50% other teams.
Interesting.
And we needed a new start because
They should do the baseball diamond in the Allegiant Stadium as homage to the Coliseum.
Brand new stadium.
As of the design, maybe paint the grass like a baseball diamond.
Oh, I like that idea.
That was sort of our claim to fame a little bit for a decade there.
It sucked. Yeah. It was so horrible there. And it was also the fact that no one would upgrade the stadium for any reason. But everyone was miserable. And they were miserable because of the team. It wasn't because of the move. Most people were like that stadium is pretty. People still showed up. It's just they showed up kind of like a class action. Like they were just like fucking. The only place I can find with a comparable aura is Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
Like the season where Shohei Ohtani, I watched a few games in Angel Stadium in the season Shohei Ohtani was leaving. Very similar vibe of just fucking kill me. I'm just here in the hopes that a foul ball hits me square in the skull and I die.
Yeah. We just had 2 Hall of Famers for 6 years and couldn't make the playoffs. Like, why are we even a franchise? Yeah.
Do 0.5.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to kind of the final question and kind of the whole point of this podcast is I feel like, there's so many teams that have this kind of long suffering fan base that'll never desert the team and this long history. And the Raiders are kind of this very unique franchise in that they do have a great history. They have lots of success in Oakland and in LA, but they're kind of this team with a franchise without a city a little bit. And so kind of, I guess my question is like, who comprises the Raiders fan base now? And what is like your personal feelings towards the team? Because it seems like Ed, you're in Vegas. You're kind of a new excited fan, even though they suck. Amir, it seems like your interest is maybe waning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a fire that's down to like some burnt parts. Or like, is it still lit? I can't really tell.
Still alive.
So like,
I'm like, do I care if the Raiders win? Or part of me does, but part of me doesn't, because like fantasy football and gambling sort of replaced Raiders fandom in my heart and life. So I guess by default, I'm a Raiders fan still because I don't have another favorite team, but I'm not like happy or sad if they win or lose.
Who comprises the Raiders fan base now? Is it new fans in Vegas? Is it like all-timer fans in Oakland who still follow the team?
There are people who come from LA. I try and strike up conversations with other suffering people. And I talk to them, and they are people who've watched this team forever. I've not met a new fan. In fact, when they talk to me, I am I'm like not weird to them. I'm just the idea of like, I am a British fan. Yeah, I became a fan like 2017. They're like, yeah, like
why? Are there Raiders fans that are under 40?
Yeah, me.
The youngest Raiders
There's
fan.
One of them, and their children.
They're all British. Right. 100% of them are British.
Yeah. Strike a light, governor. I've gone so fucking Clayton Farrell's bad. We drafted Alex Leatherwood. That's the other thing. We haven't even talked about the fucking drafting.
No, it's been bad.
We drafted the 8th ranked tackle, Alex Leatherwood, with a first pick. Clayton Farrell, every time, like this season, I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but it seems like we drafted well and we have a quarterback.
Who's our quarterback?
Fucking Geno Smith.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Pete Carroll is there now.
Pete Carroll's there. I like Pete Carroll. I'm not saying we're
sort of
win anything, but
we're rebuilding the Seahawks from pieces.
Yes.
I mean, I'll take it because we've tried rebuilding the Patriots and it didn't work.
Yeah.
True.
Fucking David Ziegler and Josh McDaniels and some other prick, I'm sure. Jared Stidham, Brian, was it Hoyer?
Oh yeah, Brian Hoyer.
We really went through their trash.
So yeah, like Amir, if they got good again, if they went on a playoff run, would you wear the gear and get emotionally invested, or do you think you'd kind of be arm's length, like, oh, good for them, whatever?
I don't know. Like I don't know what my heart and brain will do if they are 6-2 next year. I can't imagine I would be like super invested. I don't know. I just can't. Fandom is so weird like that. Like you watch a game, you're like, you just find yourself rooting for some side or another. You're like I was watching the NBA Finals. I'm like, Pacers, Thunder, I don't really care who wins. And then as I'm watching the game, I'm like, oh, I want this team to win. My body and my soul just slowly decides for me. So I guess I'll only know if they're 6-2. And that hasn't come up in 25 years. So it hasn't, that question has never needed to be answered.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Unfortunately, that bridge has been incinerated by 17 different terrible coaches.
Have you ever lost interest in a team? It seems like most people just grow up and are stuck with a team, but have you grown up with a team and loved them so hard, and then 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later just don't care anymore?
So QPR, my local soccer team.
Yeah.
Like that was absolutely like that team. The Raiders, at least you're going to a football, like a NFL game, and there's good food and there's atmosphere and music. You got a fucking QPR. You're in England to start with. And the problem with the British system, other than the fact it's soccer, is that when you go down a division, you just lose most of your money. There's no comparable here. No. It would be like if you get relegated to the triple A league, and you don't get any money. Like you just
like
get
the Oakland A's.
You can't afford but imagine if the Oakland A's had to, if they had to use only minor league players, it's a bit cheap. I realize that is how the MLB works. Yeah. But so when you go down a league in football, it kills you. Like, unless you are lucky enough or smart enough financially to keep it together, you're fucked. So watching QPR go down from being like a primetime television team to whatever the fuck they were in a miserable football stadium. You don't even know. It was a professional football team, a shithole. Absolute shithole, Loftus Road. I'm sorry, anyone listening to this who knows what that is, if you disagree with me, you're a liar. Fucking 90s Loftus Road. It's a road down there called Batman Close, the housing estate. Fascinating place. Never felt safer, but watching that team every week with British weather, just getting their shit pushed in. Horrible old men. The reason they don't fit the black hole is there used to be this
horrible
upper quadrant. There was this like upper area, this recessed area in the top. It was a corner with like a pole in the middle. It was just dark and scary, and men just fucking fought up there. I've seen men walk up there and just start a fight or just join one. That was enough to drain my love of that sport completely. I cannot.
I hate this violence in the stadium. I'm going to be a Raiders
fan. The violence was the fun bit. I wish they'd have done it on the field. Spice it up a little bit. Let them kill each other. Fuck. Something will happen. Little color in this miserable country.
It is true. It is true though that as miserable as the Raiders have been, 20 years of non-competitive football for the most part, because there's no relegation, there's nothing stopping them from suddenly being good in the next year or two. Like they could win the Super Bowl in 2 years. I mean, other than everything,
the Raiders could stop that.
Other than everything they have ever done. But besides, there's not like a technical obstacle where in American sports where if you're bad for so long, you don't get to be in the league anymore. They're still an NFL team and they always will be, even if they bounce around. So
I actually think that would be a good threat. If you play like shit so often, you get sent to the UFL. Yeah.
I mean, they might be there by now. They've certainly moved around enough as is.
Have you lost fandom in anything, Dan?
No, I mean, I have 3 teams from Pittsburgh and just kind of keep rooting for them. And that's it. I mean, I've grown up and maybe I'm less emotionally invested, but I've never lost a team, I don't think.
Were you a much bigger fan earlier in your life, or you're equally
I'm probably about the same, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm better at
fun to follow.
Yeah. The Steelers have been great. The Penguins have been great. I'm less pissed off after losses because it's like, I have to do stuff with my family now. I'm not just yourself. I am always fascinated when people, a team moves and it's just kind of like, they're technically the Raiders, but they're 2 cities away from when I started following them. Some teams I have such a feel for, and this team, I'm just like, it's so weird. Oakland, LA, Las Vegas, and had to have a recent fan and an LA fan. I feel like is kind of a cool mix.
Possibly the only recent fan.
Yeah, they've gained 1 fan. I like the idea that I'm just imagining some marketing guy who spent $1.5 billion on NFL Europe, and he just brings you in as the one fan that they've converted to be look, we're successful. Look, this guy likes football now.
But all I do is I'm just the food's a lot better.
Yeah. He looks kind of miserable. Can I ask him some questions? No, everything's a success. Bye. NFL Europe, it worked. Is there, anything else you guys want to squeeze in? We got 3 more minutes.
Do you want to read the poem?
What's the poem?
Oh, the poem.
We got to read the poem.
What's the poem?
You don't know about the poem?
I don't know about the poem.
Okay, let me read this. Read the Autumn Wind, the iconic anthem of the Raiders, narrated by John Facenda. The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea with a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. Hearing this sometimes does piss you off. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat above his head and a bristling black moustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold, and the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. Them being the fans. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won, which does not happen. Now, you do hear that before every fucking game, and when they opened the stadium, everyone went nuts. Especially by the end of like the 2023 season, people just like, no, we're gonna do the poem, huh? No,
it's gotta have the poem.
Great. Oh, wonderful. Yep. Oh, are we meant to cheer now for these chuckle fucks? Yay!
It's really fast.
Minshew.
The team really gets. Yeah,
and the last game I saw in the Coliseum.
It's Gardner Minshew after that poem. Yeah.
Gardner Minshew was the last quarterback I saw other than Derek Carr to play at the Oakland Coliseum, and he beat us.
Oh yeah.
We got beaten by the Jacksonville fucking Jaguars. By
Doesn't
Gardner
that say it all?
No, really. Like they found the only other fan base that feels as poison.
I just feel like it really kind of sums things up that they have this rich lore and a poem that goes along with the team, and like you can't read it now with anything but like dripping contempt. It's like, oh god, then we do this,
and it's so cool.
Storm your ships or some shit. This team sucks. Yeah.
If we were even slightly good, it would be so cool.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're not even like the Steelers, who can kind of pretend no matter where they're at, they could win. Because Mike Tomlin, his biggest trick is giving the other team clinical depression, and the Raiders just have it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see them this year, though. It should be a lot of fun.
That's our show for the week. My thanks again to Ed Zitron and Amir Blumenfeld for sharing their equally terrible, though very different Raiders stories. If you like the show, leave an iTunes review or just tell some people about it. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back with an all-new show next Tuesday.